The air was soft and warm, as if the world itself was breathing a gentle sigh of relief. It was the kind of evening where the golden light of the setting sun melted into the earth, and the sky blushed with pastel shades of peach and lavender. Along a quiet, winding path, lined with ancient trees, a young traveler named Elara walked with slow, measured steps. She carried no heavy burden, only a small satchel that swayed gently with each movement, as if it too were a part of the rhythm. Of the forest, Elara had always loved the quiet places, where the noise of the world faded, and all that remained was the soft whisper of the wind in the leaves. This path, though, felt different, more alive, more aware. The trees stood tall and still, yet there was an almost imperceptible hum in the air, like the sound of distant voices carried on the breeze. It was as though the forest was watching, waiting, perhaps even guiding her forward. She paused for a moment, closing her eyes and taking a deep breath. The scent of moss, damp earth, and faintly sweet flowers wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. The air was cool against her skin, and for the first time in many days, she felt a sense of peace settle in her chest. As she opened her eyes, the golden light seemed to shimmer more brightly, casting soft patterns of light and shadow on the ground. A tiny bird with feathers like pale moonlight flitted past her, pausing on a nearby branch, just long enough to tilt its head and gaze at her with curious black eyes. Elara smiled softly, whispering a quiet hello as the bird chirped once in reply before fluttering away. The path curved gently, leading her deeper into the heart of the forest. Each step felt lighter, as though the weight of her worries was being lifted by the very earth beneath her feet. She noticed how the trees seemed to lean closer together, their branches forming a natural archway overhead, like a welcoming gate into a secret world. Somewhere ahead, she heard the soft trickle of water, and the gentle sound called to her like a lullaby. She followed it, her footsteps barely making a sound on the mossy ground. The light dimmed slightly, but it was a soft, welcoming dusk rather than a foreboding shadow. The forest felt alive with a gentle energy, a kind of slow, pulsing heartbeat that resonated through the earth and up into her bones. As Elara continued, she saw something unusual. A small stone bench nestled beneath a giant oak tree, its surface covered in tiny, delicate flowers that seemed to glow faintly in the fading light. She hesitated for a moment, then slowly approached and sat down, feeling the cool, smooth stone beneath her. For a while, she simply sat there, listening. The wind whispered through the leaves, in a language she couldn't quite understand, but she felt its meaning all the same. Rest, stay, breathe. Elara closed her eyes again, her breathing slowing, each inhale filling her with the scents and sounds of the forest, each exhale releasing the tension that had clung to her like a heavy cloak. It was as though the forest itself was cradling her gently, rocking her into a quiet state of calm. She let her mind wander, imagining the stories the trees could tell if they could speak aloud. She thought of the many travelers who might have passed this way, the secrets whispered in the rustle of the leaves, the dreams woven into the branches overhead. It felt timeless, as if this place had existed long before her and would continue long after she was gone. The bird returned, perching once more on a branch nearby. Its soft, musical chirp seemed to say, "You are welcome here." And so Elara sat. As the dusk deepened into twilight, and the first stars began to twinkle faintly above the canopy, she felt no urge to move, no rush to continue. For now, it was enough to simply be, to listen to the whispers of the woods, and let them lull her into a quiet, restful peace as night fell. The sounds of the forest softened even more, like a soft blanket being laid over the world. The gentle hum of life continued all around her, and Elara felt herself drifting into a state between waking and dreaming, where the boundaries of the world seemed to blur and melt away. The whispering woods had welcomed her, and she knew this was only the beginning of her journey. Elara awoke to the sound of soft rustling leaves and the distant, gentle trill of birdsong. For a moment, she wasn't sure where she was, whether she had simply dreamed of the forest, or if the night had truly cradled her in its calm embrace. But as she opened her eyes, the sight of the ancient oak tree and the tiny glowing flowers reassured her that this place was real, and she was still within the heart of the whispering woods. The morning light was gentle, filtering through the branches like warm honey poured through lace. It touched the ground in soft, dappled patches, making the moss shimmer as if the earth itself was breathing quietly beneath her. Elara took a deep breath, letting the fresh, cool air fill her lungs. She felt lighter, as though some unseen weight had been lifted from her shoulders. Rising from the stone bench, she noticed something new, something she hadn't seen the evening before. A narrow path stretched out before her, winding through the trees like a ribbon of soft golden light. But what caught her breath was what lay along the path itself. Small stones, each glowing faintly, scattered like stars fallen from the sky. The stones shimmered in hues of soft blues and greens, their light pulsing ever so gently, as if in sync with the quiet heartbeat of the forest. Curiosity pulled at her like a gentle hand, and she felt no fear, only a quiet invitation to follow. Her bare feet touched the mossy ground, and she moved forward, each step accompanied by the soft crunch of leaves and the soothing whisper of the breeze. The stones beneath her feet felt warm, as if they held a memory of sunlight, and she wondered what stories they might hold. As she walked, Elara noticed how the sounds of the forest seemed to shift. The bird's song grew softer, replaced by the faint, almost musical hum of the glowing stones. It was a sound that wrapped around her like a lullaby, familiar, yet otherworldly. Each stone seemed to pulse with a quiet rhythm, as if the forest itself was alive, breathing in time with her own heartbeat. She paused beside a particularly large stone, its surface smooth and warm to the touch. Closing her eyes, she let her fingers rest on it, and for a brief moment, she felt something stir within her, a memory, perhaps, or a gentle knowing. It was as if the stone whispered a story, not in words, but in feeling, of countless travelers who had walked this path, each leaving behind a small piece of themselves, a quiet imprint in the fabric of the forest. The path led her deeper, and soon the trees opened up to reveal a small, crystal-clear stream. The water sparkled in the light, and the glowing stones continued along its edge, their light dancing in the ripples. Elara knelt beside the stream, dipping her fingers into the cool, soothing water. It felt like a balm on her skin, calming, washing away the last remnants of the world she had left behind. She sat quietly for a while, watching the way the water flowed over the stones, listening to the soft gurgle of the stream. Tiny silver fish darted through the clear water, their movements graceful and unhurried. She smiled softly, feeling a sense of belonging, like she was a part of this peaceful, timeless place. After a while, Elara rose and continued along the path, the sound of the stream fading gently behind her. The glowing stones seemed to guide her, their faint light leading her step by step. She passed beneath an archway formed by two intertwining trees, their branches woven together like the arms of old friends, and she felt as though she was being welcomed deeper into the heart of the forest. The air grew sweeter, filled with the scent of wildflowers and soft earth. A gentle breeze carried with it the sound of chimes, faint and distant, as if someone far away was playing a melody just for. She followed the sound, her footsteps slow and unhurried, each moment stretching into the next, like a dream. As she walked, she felt a growing sense of peace, as though the forest was wrapping her in a soft blanket of calm. The glowing stones continued to mark her path, and she realized that they weren't just a guide, they were a quiet promise, that no matter how far she wandered, she would always find her way, and she would always be welcome in this place. By the time the sun began its slow descent once more, casting long, golden rays across the forest floor, Elara found herself beneath a tree unlike any she had ever seen. Its bark shimmered with a faint silver glow, and its leaves seemed to hum softly in the breeze. At its base, the glowing stones formed a perfect circle, their light pulsing gently like a heartbeat. She sat down within the circle, feeling the warmth of the stones seep into her skin. The world around her seemed to slow, the sounds fading into a soft, distant hum. She closed her eyes and let herself drift, her breath syncing with the quiet pulse of the earth. The gentle rhythm of the forest and as sleep began to wrap around her like a soft, familiar cloak, she knew that her journey had only just begun. As the first soft rays of dawn filtered through the forest, Elara stirred gently, her breath slow and even, as if the forest itself had been rocking her in a cradle of peace. The glowing stones around her had dimmed with the rising sun, their gentle pulse fading into the quiet hush of morning. She opened her eyes slowly, feeling as though she had woken from a dream she wasn't quite ready to leave. The air was cool and sweet, filled with the scent of dew and soft earth. She stretched her arms, feeling the warmth of the stones beneath her, and took a slow breath in, letting it out with a quiet sigh. The forest around her seemed to shimmer in the light, each leaf catching the sunlight in delicate patterns of gold and green. It felt like the entire world had been freshly painted. In soft, calming hues, Elara rose to her feet and took a few steps forward. The path ahead was dappled with light and shadow, and the trees swayed gently, as if acknowledging her presence. She felt no hurry, no rush, only a quiet invitation to keep moving, to see what the forest would reveal next. As she walked, she began to notice small shapes hanging from the branches above tiny lanterns, each one glowing softly, their light a warm golden hue that flickered like candle flames in the breeze. They swayed gently, creating a soft, melodic tinkling sound, like distant wind chimes whispering their quiet song. Elara stopped and reached up toward one of the lanterns. It was made of delicate, translucent petals, strung together with fine silvery threads. The petals glowed faintly, as though a tiny flame lived inside, breathing in sync with the heartbeat of the forest. She watched in awe, feeling as if she had stumbled into a secret garden that had been waiting for her. The lanterns seemed to lead the way, forming a trail high in the branches that mirrored the path beneath her feet. With each step, the soft, golden glow illuminated the way forward, casting gentle, flickering light on the mossy ground below. She followed the path in quiet wonder, her footsteps light and unhurried. The sound of the wind in the trees was soothing, a gentle hush that seemed to sing her name. The lanterns above swayed in harmony, as if they, too, were part of a lullaby meant just for her. After a time, Elara reached a small clearing where the lanterns hung lower, almost at eye level, their glow brighter and warmer. In the center of the clearing stood a tree, unlike any other she had seen. Its bark was a deep silvery gray, and its branches reached high into the sky, each one cradling a lantern as if they were precious jewels. Elara felt drawn to the tree, its presence both calming and powerful. As she approached, she noticed a small wooden sign, carved with delicate letters, worn smooth by time. The sign read, "The tree of quiet dreams rest, and let your heart be still." The words seemed to settle in her chest, a soft, comforting weight that invited her to pause. She sat down beneath the tree, her back resting against the smooth bark, and looked up at the lanterns swaying above her. Their light flickered gently, casting soft patterns across her face, and she felt a sense of calm seep into her bones. Closed her eyes, letting the quiet sounds of the forest wash over her, the rustling of leaves, the soft hum of the lanterns, the distant call of a bird. It was as if the entire forest was holding its breath, waiting with her in this moment of peace. Time seemed to slow, each second stretching out like a long, soft sigh. Elara felt herself drifting, not quite asleep, not quite awake, just floating. Gently, her thoughts light and unhurried. She imagined the lanterns as tiny stars, each one holding a dream left behind by a traveler who had come before her. Perhaps they were wishes whispered into the night, hopes carried on the wind, or quiet moments of love and longing. She wondered if her own dreams would someday glow softly in the branches, adding their light to the quiet chorus of the forest. The sun was high now, but the clearing remained cool and shaded, the lantern's glow steady and reassuring. Elara knew she could stay here as long as she needed. The forest asked for nothing, demanded nothing. It simply offered its quiet company, its gentle breath, its soft, golden light. And so she sat, letting her mind wander like a slow river winding through the trees, her body relaxed and at ease. The world beyond the forest felt far away, its noise and worries dim and distant. Here, in the company of the glowing lanterns, she felt safe, held, and at peace. As the afternoon light deepened, Elara knew it would soon be time to move on. The path would lead her onward, deeper into the forest, to places yet unknown. But for now, she stayed, resting beneath the tree of quiet dreams, the lanterns above her swaying softly in the breeze. Their golden glow, a lullaby for her weary heart, and as she sat, her breath slow and steady, she knew she was exactly where she was meant to be. As the afternoon sun began its gentle descent, casting long golden shadows across the forest floor, Elara slowly rose from her resting place beneath the tree of quiet dreams. The lanterns in the branches swayed softly above her, their light dimming in the fading daylight, as if they, too, were ready to rest. Elara felt a quiet gratitude bloom within her heart, grateful for the peace, for the stillness, and for the sense of belonging that wrapped around her like a soft blanket. She took a deep, slow breath, letting the forest air fill her lungs. It smelled of damp earth, of old wood and moss, and of something faintly sweet, like wildflowers, carried on the breeze. The glowing stones, though dimmer now, still marked her path, guiding her forward with their gentle, steady presence. As she walked, the sounds of the forest shifted once more. The rustle of leaves was joined by something softer, almost like the faintest notes of a song, drifting through the air in delicate threads. Elara paused, tilting her head, listening closely. The sound was so gentle, she wasn't sure if it was real, or if her mind was simply weaving music from the quiet whispers of the wind. Curious, she followed the sound, moving slowly, each step light and unhurried. The melody seemed to grow clearer as she walked, a soft, lilting tune that floated on the breeze like a lullaby. It was simple and sweet, as if someone were playing a song just for her. A melody meant to soothe and comfort. Elara's heart swelled. With a quiet wonder, she followed the sound deeper into the forest, and soon she came upon a small clearing, unlike any she had seen before. The trees here were different, their trunks slender and white as moonlight. Their branches adorned with tiny silver leaves that shimmered in the soft light. And there, at the center of the clearing, sat a figure, a woman, or perhaps something more, woven from light and shadow. Her hair flowed like a stream of golden threads, and her fingers danced across the strings of an instrument that shimmered with an otherworldly glow. It was a harp, but unlike any harp Elara had ever seen. Its strings sparkled with tiny flecks of stardust, and each note she played seemed to drift into the air and settle gently among the leaves, filling the space with a soft, magical hum. Woman's face was serene, her eyes closed, as if lost in the music. Elara felt as though she had stumbled upon something sacred, something that was not meant to be seen, but only felt like a secret whispered by the earth itself. She stood still, barely breathing, not wanting to disturb the moment. The melody wrapped around her, a soft, comforting presence that seemed to speak directly to her heart. It told her stories without words of ancient trees and quiet streams, of nights filled with starlight and dreams that drifted on the breeze. It spoke of peace, of belonging, of the gentle, endless rhythm of life in the forest. Elara closed her eyes, letting the music wash over her. She felt her breath slow, her body relax, her mind quiet. It was as if the song reached inside her and gently smoothed away the knots of worry and fear, leaving only a soft, steady calm. When she opened her eyes again, the figure was gone. The harp, the silver trees, the shimmer of stardust all had faded, as if they had never been there. But the melody remained, lingering in the air like the scent of flowers after a summer rain. It was softer now, almost a memory, but Elara knew it would stay with her, woven into the fabric of her being. She took a step forward, then another, feeling the forest shift around her once more. The glowing stones at her feet pulsed gently, guiding her onward. The lanterns above had disappeared, replaced by a soft golden glow that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. Elara walked with a quiet sense of wonder, her heart still humming with the melody she had heard. She knew now that the forest held secrets, soft, gentle secrets that revealed themselves not with force, but with patience and quiet listening. As the sky deepened into the dusky hues of twilight, she found herself at the edge of a small pool of water, perfectly still, reflecting the first stars of evening like tiny lanterns on the surface. She sat by the water's edge, dipping her fingers into the cool, smooth liquid, and let the melody echo softly in her mind. The stars above seemed to wink in quiet rhythm, their light shimmering on the surface of the water. The breeze whispered through the trees, carrying with it the faintest traces of the song. And Elara felt her eyelids grow heavy. The forest seemed to breathe around her, a slow, steady rhythm that matched her own. And as the first true stars blinked fully into the night, Elara closed her eyes, letting the melody guide her into sleep. The forest's secret song had welcomed her, and in its quiet, she felt safe. Elara drifted into the quiet hush of the night, the soft hum of the forest still wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. As she slowly opened her eyes, she noticed how the air had shifted cooler now, with a faint silver glow that seemed to seep into every leaf, every blade of grass, every pebble along the path. The sky above had deepened into a rich midnight blue, scattered with stars that blinked softly, as if they were taking slow, gentle breaths. She rose quietly, her body relaxed and unhurried, and took a slow, deep breath. The scent of the forest at night was different, cooler, fresher, and somehow sweeter, like the quiet perfume of moonlit flowers. Before her, the glowing stones formed a soft path leading onward, their light now a delicate silver instead of the warm gold of earlier. She followed them, step by careful step, the moss beneath her feet soft and springy, each footfall almost soundless in the stillness of the night. Soon, she heard the gentle sound of water, a soft, rhythmic whisper that grew louder as she walked. It wasn't the sharp babble of a brook or the rushing force of a river, but rather a smooth, fluid murmur that seemed to shimmer in the air itself. The path curved gently, and as Elara stepped forward, she gasped softly in wonder. Before her lay a river, wide and calm, its surface shining like liquid glass under the moonlight. The water shimmered, not just reflecting the stars above, but glowing from within, a soft, pale silver light that seemed to pulse gently, like the slow, steady beat of a heart. It was as if the river itself held the essence of the moon, captured and flowing in an endless, quiet stream. Elara moved closer, the cool air brushing against her skin, and knelt at the water's edge. She dipped her fingers into the river, expecting a chill, but instead felt a gentle warmth, like the comforting touch of a soft blanket on a cool night. The water shimmered around her fingers, tiny ripples spreading out in delicate swirling patterns that caught the moonlight and scattered it like soft stardust. She watched, mesmerized, as the river seemed to respond to her touch, glowing a little brighter where her fingertips met the surface. It was as if the river knew her, welcomed her, and whispered its secrets in the language of light and motion. Across the river, she noticed stepping stones, each one softly illuminated from within, forming a gentle path across the glowing water. They seemed to invite her forward, their light steady and calm, as if assuring her that it was safe to cross. Elara stood, her breath slow and steady, and placed her foot on the first stone. It was warm beneath her, solid yet light, as if it had been waiting for her all along. She moved carefully, stepping from stone to stone, the water flowing gently around her, the sound of it a soft, endless lullaby. Halfway across, she paused, standing quietly as the river flowed beneath her. The stars above seemed to mirror the lights in the water, and for a moment, it felt as though she was floating in the middle of the night sky itself. Cradled between earth and heaven, she closed her eyes, letting the sounds and sensations wash over her, the soft whisper of the water, the faint, melodic hum that drifted through the air, and the cool, gentle breeze that brushed against her skin like a soft sigh. When she opened her eyes, she noticed something shimmering in the water near her feet. A tiny silver fish, no larger than her thumb, darted through the glowing current, its scales catching the light like tiny mirrors. It moved slowly, unhurried, its body gliding effortlessly through the water, as if it were dancing to an invisible song. Elara smiled softly, feeling a deep sense of peace. The river felt like a gift, a place where time itself seemed to slow, where the worries of the world melted away into the quiet shimmer of moonlight as she reached the other side. The stepping stones ended at a small bank, lined with soft, mossy grass. She sat down, dipping her bare feet into the glowing water, feeling its warmth seep gently into her skin. The stars above twinkled quietly, and the breeze whispered through the trees, carrying with it the faintest echoes of a melody she couldn't quite place, but felt deep within her heart. She lay back on the soft grass, her arms stretched out, and gazed up at the sky. The stars seemed to spin slowly above her, moving in gentle, swirling patterns that matched the rhythm of the river's flow. The world felt soft, slow, and safe, as if she had found a quiet corner of the universe where everything was exactly as it should be. Elara felt her breath slow, her eyes growing heavy. The river's glow danced gently on her skin, a soft silver light that seemed to cradle her in its quiet, steady presence. And as sleep began to drift over her like a warm, comforting blanket, she knew that the river would still be there when she awoke, flowing gently, whispering its secrets, and holding her in the soft embrace of the forest's timeless song. Elara awoke to the soft warmth of morning light streaming across her face. The river's glow had faded with the night, leaving behind a quiet shimmer that still lingered in the air, like the memory of a song softly fading away. She stretched her arms slowly, feeling a sense of calm seep into her bones, as if the dreams she had during the night had wrapped her in a soft golden cocoon. The air smelled fresh, filled with the scent of wildflowers, warm earth, and a faint sweetness that seemed to drift from somewhere just ahead. Elara rose to her feet and glanced around. The path before her was lined with soft, silvery moss, and the trees overhead swayed gently in the breeze, their leaves whispering softly to one another. She followed the path at a slow, steady pace, her footsteps light and careful. The sounds of the forest were soft and welcoming, a gentle rustle here, the chirp of a bird there, and somewhere far off, the faint sound of a breeze dancing through the treetops. Soon the trees began to thin, their tall trunks opening up to reveal a wide sunlit meadow. Elara stepped forward, and the sight took her breath away. The meadow stretched far and wide, a sea of soft grasses and delicate wildflowers in every color imaginable, blues and purples, soft pinks and buttery yellows, all swaying gently in the breeze as if they were a single, breathing entity. The light of the sun bathed the meadow in a golden glow, and the petals of the flowers shimmered as if they were dusted with tiny flecks of starlight. Elara took a slow step into the meadow, and as she did, she felt a soft hum beneath her feet, a quiet vibration that seemed to pulse in rhythm with her own heartbeat. She knelt down and brushed her fingers over the petals of a delicate pale blue flower, and to her surprise, it let out a faint, musical whisper, like the softest chime of a bell. She smiled in wonder and moved to touch another flower, a pale pink blossom, and it, too, sang a quiet note, blending seamlessly with the first, as if the meadow itself was playing a gentle, endless melody. Elara stood still, letting the music wrap around her. Each flower she touched added a note to the song, and soon, the entire meadow seemed to sing, a soft, ever-changing harmony that filled the air with a sense of quiet joy. The sound wasn't loud, nor did it demand her attention. It was simply there, like a steady breath beneath the surface of the world, a reminder that life flowed in quiet, beautiful ways. She walked slowly, the soft grass brushing against her legs, her fingertips gliding over the petals of the singing flowers. The notes blended together, creating a gentle, peaceful melody that drifted into the sky. as if the very air had turned into a lullaby. In the center of the meadow stood a single tall tree, its branches spreading wide, heavy with blossoms that glowed faintly in the sunlight. Elara approached it, her heart filled with a quiet sense of awe. As she reached the tree, she noticed a small, weathered wooden sign at its base. The letters carved deep and smooth. The whispering meadow where every voice becomes a song. Elara ran her fingers gently over the letters, feeling their warmth. Beneath her fingertips, she sat beneath the tree, resting her back against its sturdy trunk, and let the sounds of the meadow fill her senses. The music of the flowers wrapped around her like a soft blanket. Each note, a gentle hum that seemed to reach deep into her heart. She felt the tension in her body melt away, replaced by a calm, steady warmth. Her breath slowed, her eyelids growing heavy as she leaned into the soft grass, the melody lulling her into a state of perfect peace. The breeze brushed through her hair, soft and playful, and the sun's warmth settled on her skin like a gentle kiss. The flowers swayed, their whispers blending with the rustling of the leaves, and the tree above her seemed to hum in quiet harmony. A low, steady note that grounded the entire meadow in its ancient, unhurried presence. Elara closed her eyes, letting the sounds and scents of the meadow fill her mind. The world beyond the forest felt far away, its noise and worries forgotten in the soft embrace of this peaceful place. Here, in the whispering meadow, she felt like a small, welcome part of something much larger and endless. Gentle song that had been playing long before she arrived, and would continue long after she left. As sleep began to tug gently at the edges of her awareness, Elara smiled softly, her breath deep and even. She knew she could rest here, safe and cradled in the arms of the meadow's quiet lullaby. And so she did, drifting into sleep as the flowers continued to whisper their soft, golden notes into the breeze. Elara awoke in the soft glow of twilight. The sun had set, leaving behind a sky brushed with deep blues and soft purples. Above her, the stars had begun to shimmer, gentle points of light scattered across the canvas of the night. She stretched, slowly, feeling the gentle hum of the whispering meadow still in her bones, as if the quiet song of the flowers had settled deep inside her. The air was cool and sweet, carrying with it the faint scent of blooming flowers and the soft, almost imperceptible sigh of the wind. Elara stood, brushing the grass from her dress, and turned her gaze upward. There, in the distance, she saw it a path of light, glowing faintly, winding its way beyond the meadow and into the darkening forest. It wasn't made of stone or wood, but of soft, twinkling points of light, like tiny stars scattered across the ground, forming a trail that beckoned her forward. Elara took a deep breath, and stepped onto the path. The light sparkled beneath her feet, glowing brighter with each gentle step, as if they were responding to her presence, welcoming her into their quiet embrace. The path led her deeper into the forest, where the trees arched high above her, their branches woven together to form a natural ceiling. The leaves swayed gently, and the stars overhead seemed to dance in time with the flickering lights beneath her feet. With each step, the world grew softer, quieter. The sounds of the forest, the rustling leaves, the distant calls of night creatures. The gentle hum of the earth all blended into a soft, steady rhythm that seemed to match the beat of her own heart. Elara felt a sense of wonder fill her chest, a quiet awe that made her breath catch softly in her throat. She was part of something ancient, something that had existed long before her and would continue long after. The path, the forest, the stars, all of it felt like a living, breathing story, unfolding around her with each quiet step. As she walked, she noticed small clusters of flowers along the sides of the path, their petals closed in the cool night air, but still glowing faintly, like tiny lanterns tucked among the grass. The air shimmered with a faint golden mist that drifted lazily, catching the light in soft, swirling patterns. Soon, the path opened into a small clearing, where the starlit trail formed a perfect circle on the ground. In the center of the circle stood a stone pedestal, smooth and weathered, with a small glowing crystal resting atop it. The crystal pulsed softly, its light matching the quiet rhythm of the stars above. Elara approached slowly, her footsteps light and careful. As she neared the pedestal, she felt a gentle warmth wash over her, as if the crystal were radiating a soft, welcoming energy. She reached out, her fingers hovering just above the crystal's surface, and in that moment, she heard it, a soft, gentle voice, not in her ears, but in her heart. The voice spoke not in words, but in feelings. A quiet sense of belonging and peace, as if the forest itself were telling her that she was safe, that she was part of something beautiful and vast. Elara's eyes softened, a quiet smile touching her lips. She sat down beside the pedestal, the soft grass beneath her cool and comforting, and closed her eyes. The glow of the crystal, the shimmer of the path, the quiet song of the stars, all of it wrapped around her like a lullaby, soothing and gentle. She let her breath slow, her mind quieting as she listened to the soft, endless hum of the forest. The night sky above seemed to pulse gently, the stars blinking in a slow, steady rhythm that matched the soft beating of her heart. The path of light remained, stretching beyond the clearing, waiting patiently for her to rise and continue. But for now, Elara let herself rest, the quiet song of the earth cradling her into a gentle sleep. She knew, in the soft fading moments before dreams took her, that the starlit path would be there when she awoke, guiding her onward, step by soft, glowing step, through the quiet magic of the forest. And so, she drifted peacefully into the arms of sleep. Elara awoke slowly, as if the forest itself was gently nudging her awake. The soft glow of the crystal pedestal lingered in her mind, a quiet warmth that seemed to hum beneath her skin. The starlit path still shimmered faintly, a ribbon of light stretching into the shadows of the trees, inviting her forward. She stood, stretching her arms above her head, feeling a sense of calm settle deep into her chest. The air smelled sweet and earthy, a mix of moss, bark, and the faint perfume of distant flowers. The breeze brushed against her skin, soft and cool, carrying with it the faintest sound whispers, so delicate and quiet that they almost seemed to come from her own breath. Curious, Elara followed the path, each step slow and gentle, as if the earth beneath her feet was sacred ground. The lights of the path twinkled beneath her, dimming and brightening in a slow, rhythmic pulse. Like the quiet beat of a hidden drum. As she walked deeper into the forest, the trees began to grow taller. Their trunks wide and strong, their branches stretching high into the night sky. The leaves overhead formed a soft, green canopy, filtering the moonlight into delicate silver patterns on the ground. The whispers grew clearer now, soft, gentle voices that seemed to drift through the air like a breeze. They weren't words she could understand, but they carried a feeling, a sense of welcome, of comfort, of belonging. It was as if the trees themselves were speaking, their ancient voices carried on the wind. Soon, the path opened into a wide, circular grove, the trees forming a natural wall around it. The ground was covered in soft moss, cool and springy underfoot, and the air shimmered faintly, filled with a quiet, golden glow that seemed to pulse gently. In time with the whispers, in the center of the grove stood an ancient tree, taller and wider than any Elara had ever seen. Its bark was smooth and dark, and its branches spread out in a graceful arc, heavy with glowing leaves that swayed gently. Even though the air was still, Elara stepped closer, her breath catching softly in her throat. The whispers grew louder, but still gentle, like a lullaby sung by the earth itself. As she placed her hand on the trunk of the tree, a deep, warm sensation spread through her fingertips and into her chest, a feeling of quiet strength, of deep roots and endless time. The whispers seemed to wrap around her, filling her with a sense of peace. She could almost hear them clearly now, soft voices telling stories of the forest's ancient past, of storms and sunlight, of creatures that had come and gone, and of the quiet, endless growth of the trees themselves. She closed her eyes, letting the whispers wash over her like a gentle stream. In her mind, she saw visions, glimpses of the forest through the ages, saplings pushing through the soil, their leaves unfurling under golden suns, rain falling softly on mossy stones, the moon rising over the trees, casting its silver glow. Across the ground, it was as if the forest was sharing its memories with her, welcoming her into its quiet, timeless world. Elara sat down at the base of the ancient tree, leaning back against its strong trunk. The whispers continued, a soft, steady song that lulled her into a state of calm. The ground beneath her was warm and soft, and she felt as though she were being cradled in the arms of the earth itself. The stars above twinkled softly, and the leaves of the ancient tree glowed faintly, casting a gentle golden light across the grove. The whispers seemed to hum in time with the slow, steady rhythm of her breath, a quiet reminder that she was part of something vast and beautiful. Elara let her eyes close, her body growing heavy with sleep. The whispers of the grove wrapped around her like a soft blanket, their gentle voices carrying her into dreams. She knew, as she drifted into the quiet darkness, that she was safe. Here, that the forest, the path, and the whispers would watch over her until the dawn. And so she slept, cradled by the grove, her heart at peace in the soft, endless song of the trees. Elara stirred from her rest beneath the ancient tree, her body wrapped in a quiet warmth that seemed to flow from the earth itself. The whispers of the grove had faded into a soft hum, like the gentle rustle of leaves in a light breeze. As she opened her eyes, the soft glow of the starlit path beckoned her once more, stretching gently beyond the grove, weaving through the trees like a ribbon of light. She rose slowly, her limbs relaxed and her heart calm. The path sparkled under her feet, guiding her forward with a quiet, steady presence. The air was cool and sweet, filled with the scent of moss and flowers, and the soft hush of the forest seemed to hum in harmony with her steps. Soon, the trees began to thin, and she entered a small clearing. There, in the center, stood a figure unlike any she had seen before, tall, gentle figure, draped in flowing robes that shimmered like starlight. The figure held a lantern in one hand, its flame a soft, golden glow that pulsed in a slow, steady rhythm. Much like a heartbeat, the figure turned to her, and though Elara could not see a face beneath the hood, she felt a sense of quiet kindness, radiating from the being, as if they were an old friend she had always known. The figure's lantern cast a soft light across the ground, revealing delicate patterns in the grass spirals, stars, and gentle waves that seemed to shift as she looked at them without speaking. The figure raised the lantern, and the flame within it brightened, casting a warm glow across the clearing. The light seemed to carry a quiet magic, wrapping around Elara like a soft blanket. She felt safe, as though the very air was holding her in a gentle embrace. The figure motioned for her to follow, and together they walked slowly along the path. The lantern's glow illuminated the trees as they passed, revealing tiny, hidden creatures nestled in the branches, small, glowing moths, soft-eyed foxes curled up in the roots, and delicate flowers that bloomed only in the soft night light. As they walked, Elara felt the world around her soften. The path became quieter, the stars brighter, and the air filled with a soft, golden shimmer. It was as if the lantern's light was guiding her deeper into a world where time moved slower, where every breath was a quiet song, and every heartbeat a gentle note in an endless melody. Eventually, they reached the edge of a small pond. Its surface so still and smooth that it reflected the stars perfectly, as if the night sky had folded down to rest upon the earth. The figure stopped at the water's edge and turned to Elara. Holding the lantern high, the flame within the lantern flickered gently, and Elara felt a soft warmth bloom in her chest. She realized that the light wasn't just from the flame, it was coming from within her, too. A quiet, golden glow that had been growing with each step of her journey, fed by the whispers of the trees, the songs of the meadow, and now the gentle guidance of the lantern keeper. The figure lowered the lantern, placing it gently on a stone beside the pond. The flame within continued to glow, and the figure bowed its head slightly, as if passing the light to her. A quiet gift from the forest itself. Elara closed her eyes and took a slow, deep breath. The warmth within her seemed to pulse gently, like a soft heartbeat in the darkness. She felt a sense of connection between herself and the lantern, between the pond and the stars, between the earth beneath her feet and the sky above. It was all one, she realized. One quiet, beautiful song that she was now a part of. When she opened her eyes, the figure had quietly vanished, leaving behind only the glowing lantern and the quiet peace of the clearing. The path continued beyond the pond, shimmering softly. In the moonlight, Elara smiled softly, feeling the weight of sleep settle gently over her. She sat by the pond, watching the stars reflect in the water, the lantern's glow casting soft ripples across the surface. The air was filled with the softest hum, a lullaby sung by the earth itself. Her eyelids grew heavy, and she lay down in the soft grass, the golden glow of the lantern a gentle beacon beside her. The quiet hum of the forest wrapped around her, like a warm blanket, and the stars above shimmered softly, as if watching over her as she drifted into sleep. Elara felt the presence of the lantern keeper, still with her a quiet, guiding light, gently leading her through the soft, endless dream of the forest. Asterisk, the night air was cool and soft, wrapping Elara in a blanket of quiet peace as she stirred beneath the stars. The gentle glow of the lantern still shimmered nearby, its flame pulsing softly, as if breathing in time with the rhythm of the earth. She blinked slowly, her body heavy with calm, and the world around her seemed to hum with a quiet, ancient song. Elara sat up, her breath slow and steady, and looked across the pond. The surface shimmered with soft reflections of the stars, and the faint golden mist that had followed her since the whispering meadow seemed to drift gently across the water, swirling lazily in the air. The starlit path waited patiently beyond the clearing, glowing faintly as if calling her forward. But before she could rise, she noticed something just beyond the lantern. Where the moss glowed softly in the night, a small archway had appeared. It wasn't made of stone or wood, but of woven branches and delicate vines, their leaves twinkling like tiny stars. Curious, Elara rose and approached the archway. As she stepped closer, she felt a gentle pull, like a soft breeze guiding her forward. The air shimmered, and as she passed through the arch, the world seemed to shift, time slowed. The sounds of the forest grew quieter, and the glow around her brightened, casting a warm, golden light that wrapped her like a soft embrace. She found herself standing in a vast, open clearing, bathed in a soft, silver light. The grass was lush and green, dotted with tiny, glowing flowers that seemed to hum with a quiet, soothing melody. The air here felt different, lighter, as if it carried dreams themselves, floating gently like dandelion seeds on the breeze. In the center of the clearing stood a single, tall tree, its branches reaching high into the sky, adorned with countless tiny lanterns that flickered like stars. Beneath the tree sat a figure, their back resting against the trunk, their head bowed slightly, as if they were asleep. Elara approached quietly, her footsteps light on the soft grass. As she drew nearer, she saw that the figure was not just asleep, they were dreaming. A faint, silvery glow surrounded them, and above their head, delicate images shimmered in the air clouds, drifting lazily, stars spinning slowly, and fields of wildflowers swaying in an unseen breeze. It was as if the figure's dreams were spilling into the air around them, painting the clearing with soft, quiet visions. Elara sat down nearby, folding her hands in her lap, and watched the dreams dance in the air. They moved slowly, like the gentle turning of pages in a book, and as she watched, she felt her own breath slow, her heart steady. The soft whispers of the forest returned, drifting through the air like a lullaby, and Elara closed her eyes. She let her mind drift, letting the quiet images of the dreamer's visions wash over her. She saw rivers winding through golden fields, the sun setting behind distant mountains, and the moon rising high above a tranquil sea. As the visions danced, Elara felt her own dreams begin to stir. They rose gently, mixing with the silvery glow, forming shapes and patterns in the air. She saw a quiet cottage nestled among the trees, a warm fire glowing in the hearth. She saw herself walking along the starlit path, her hand brushing against the soft moss. The quiet magic of the forest wrapped around her like a comforting shawl. The dreams continued to swirl, soft and slow, like a gentle current in a vast, quiet sea. The dreamer beside the tree stirred slightly, as if they too could feel Elara's presence, and the soft glow around them pulsed gently, a quiet shared rhythm. Elara felt a sense of belonging settle in her chest, a deep, peaceful knowing that she was part of this dream, part of the soft, endless song of the forest. She lay down in the soft grass, her body sinking into the earth, and let her eyes close. The clearing, the lanterns, the dreamer, and the soft hum of the night wrapped around her like a warm blanket. The air shimmered faintly, the dreams drifting higher into the sky. Mingling with the stars, Elara drifted into sleep, her breath slow and easy. As the dreamer's visions carried her away into the quiet, endless night, where the path would always wait for her, and the whispers of the forest would sing her gently into dreams. The night had grown deeper, the sky above a velvet canvas of soft stars. Elara stirred softly, the air cool and fragrant with the scent of moss and moonlit flowers. The dreamer's clearing faded gently behind her as she rose, a soft shimmer of light lingering where she had lain. Her body felt light, as though the dreams had seeped into her bones, filling her with a quiet, glowing warmth. Ahead, the starlit path continued, winding gently through the trees, calling her onward. The lantern, a steady companion, floated beside her, its soft flame flickering in a slow, rhythmic dance. As Elara walked, the air seemed to change thicker, heavier with a soft golden glow that shimmered through the leaves like sunlight filtering through morning mist. Soon, she entered a wide open glade, a vast, circular space where the trees formed a perfect ring around the edge. In the center of the clearing stood a circle of smooth stones, their surfaces worn by time, glowing faintly under the moonlight. Between the stones, the grass shimmered silver, as if dusted with stardust. Elara stepped into the circle, and the air seemed to shift, as though the earth itself had taken a soft breath. The lantern's flame pulsed gently, and a soft hum rose from the stones. A quiet vibration that she felt deep in her chest as she stood in the center, the ground beneath. Her feet seemed to glow, a soft warmth rising through her soles and into her body. The circle of stones began to glow brighter, their light gentle and warm, as if the very earth was singing. The lantern's flame grew stronger, casting a soft golden halo around Elara, and she felt her breath slow, her heart steady. Then, without warning, the air shimmered, and soft shapes began to emerge within the circle. Glowing ethereal figures, their forms soft and fluid, like mist, began to take shape. Tall, graceful beings with quiet, watchful eyes, their movements slow and serene. They radiated a calm, steady energy, as if they had been waiting for her all along. Elara felt no fear, only a deep sense of belonging, as if these beings were a part of the forest itself, guardians of the ancient magic that flowed through the trees and stones. One of the figures stepped forward, holding a small, glowing orb in its hands. The orb pulsed with a soft, golden light, and as the figure approached, it gently placed the orb in Elara's hands. The moment the orb touched her skin, a wave of warmth and peace flowed through her, filling her with a quiet strength. Visions bloomed in her mind, images of the forest, of the creatures and trees, the streams and stars, all woven together in an endless, harmonious dance. She saw herself walking among them, a part of the quiet rhythm. Her steps guided by the soft light of the lantern. The figures began to hum softly, their voices blending into a gentle melody that filled the air, a song that spoke of balance, of harmony, of the quiet connection between all living things. Elara closed her eyes, letting the melody flow through her, and felt herself becoming part of it, her breath a note, her heartbeat a drumbeat in the soft, endless song of the forest. As the song continued, the figures slowly faded, their light dissolving into the soft glow of the stones. The orb in her hands grew brighter for a moment, then settled into a steady, warm glow, as if it had become a part of her. Elara opened her eyes slowly, the circle of stones around her now glowing faintly, their hum soft and steady. The air was calm, the forest quiet, and the path beyond the circle shimmered gently, waiting for her. She took a slow, deep breath, her heart full of quiet wonder. The lantern's light flickered softly, a silent promise that it would guide her forward, one step at a time. With a soft smile, Elara stepped out of the circle, the orb's glow nestled gently in her chest, a soft light that would guide her through the night. The forest whispered softly, and the stars above twinkled gently, watching as she continued her journey through the quiet magic of the forest. Elara walked quietly along the shimmering path, her steps soft upon the mossy earth. The lantern's glow cast a warm, golden light around her, and the orb she had received from the circle of stones pulsed gently in her chest, like a small, steady heartbeat. The forest whispered softly as she moved, the trees leaning in close, as if sharing secrets only they knew. The air was cool and fragrant, filled with the scent of blooming flowers and fresh rain, and the soft glow of fireflies drifted lazily among the branches. As she walked, the path began to narrow, the trees growing closer, their branches arching overhead, to form a living tunnel. The light dimmed, and a hush fell over the world, as if time itself had slowed to a gentle, steady rhythm. Elara felt a quiet sense of anticipation, as though the forest was leading her toward something important, something hidden and precious. Soon, she reached a low, wooden gate, its surface weathered and entwined with ivy and tiny white flowers that glowed faintly in the lantern's light. The gate creaked softly as she pushed it open, revealing a small, secluded garden beyond. The garden was bathed in a soft, silver light, as if the moon itself had settled gently among the flowers. The air shimmered with a quiet magic, and the plants seemed to hum with a soft, peaceful melody. Elara stepped inside, feeling the soft grass beneath her feet, and a deep sense of calm washed over her. Everywhere she looked, the garden seemed alive. Soft petals gently swayed, as if in a breeze. Though the air was still, vines curled slowly around smooth stones, their leaves sparkling faintly, and the flowers bloomed in colors she had never seen before, pale blues that shifted into gentle purples, soft golds that melted into shimmering greens. In the center of the garden stood a small stone fountain, its water trickling softly into a shallow pool that reflected the stars above. The sound of the water was soothing, a quiet rhythm that seemed to echo the soft pulse of the orb in her chest. Elara approached the fountain, and as she peered into its water, she saw something extraordinary of her journey. The images danced softly across the surface. The meadow of whispers, the lantern keeper, the dreamer's clearing, and the circle of light. Each scene glowed softly, as if alive, a part of the story woven into the garden's heart. She watched, in quiet wonder, her breath slow and steady, and felt the soft hum of the garden wrap around her. The water shimmered, and then, as if sensing her presence, the fountain's glow brightened. A small, delicate flower bud emerged from the water's surface. Its petals closed tightly. Elara reached out gently, her fingertips brushing the petals, and the flower slowly opened, revealing a soft glowing light within. The petals unfolded like a quiet breath, and as they did, a gentle wave of warmth flowed into Elara's hands and up her arms, settling deep in her heart. The flower seemed to speak, though no words were spoken, only a quiet sense of understanding, of belonging. It was as if the garden itself was welcoming her, recognizing her as part of its quiet, endless cycle. Elara closed her eyes and breathed deeply, letting the garden's peace wash over her. She felt the warmth of the lantern, the steady hum of the orb, and the soft, endless rhythm of the forest all around her, holding her in a gentle embrace. When she opened her eyes, the flower had gently faded, leaving behind only a soft glow in the water's surface. The garden seemed to shimmer brighter, and the path beyond the fountain beckoned softly, inviting her to continue. Elara smiled, her heart full and quiet, and rose slowly. She walked through the garden, letting her fingers brush the soft petals and leaves, each touch a quiet blessing, a reminder of the quiet beauty that surrounded her. The path beyond the gate awaited her, shimmering softly under the lantern's glow, and as she stepped forward, she felt the garden's warmth settle gently in her chest, a quiet gift to carry with her on the journey ahead. The night air was cool and calm, and the soft hum of the garden lingered in the breeze, a gentle song to guide her into dreams. Elara moved quietly through the soft shadows of the forest, her breath slow and easy, the lantern's golden glow lighting the path ahead. The orb in her chest pulsed with a steady warmth, a quiet rhythm that matched the gentle rustling of the leaves above her. As she walked, the trees began to thin, and the ground sloped gently downward. The sound of a soft breeze drifted through the air, carrying with it a faint, melodic hum like the distant sound of a song carried across a wide, open space. Soon, Elara emerged into a broad valley, bathed in soft, silver moonlight. The grass swayed gently in the breeze, shimmering like a quiet sea. The air was cool and fresh, and the sound of the distant melody grew clearer, its notes rising and falling like the breath of the earth itself. Elara paused at the edge of the valley, letting the quiet music wash over her. It was a simple, soothing tune, soft notes that seemed to echo from the rocks and hillsides, carried gently on the wind. The sound filled the air without beginning or end, as if the valley itself were humming softly, a song that had been sung for ages, drawn forward by the music. Elara stepped into the valley, her feet sinking slightly into the soft grass. The lantern's light flickered, casting long gentle shadows across the landscape. The orb in her chest pulsed in time with the melody, each note a soft, glowing thread that wove itself into her breath. Her steps, her heartbeat, as she walked deeper into the valley, Elara noticed small, delicate stones scattered across the ground, smooth and polished, each one etched with faint, glowing symbols. They shimmered softly under the moonlight, their light shifting and changing as if they were alive, curious. Elara knelt beside one of the stones and reached out to touch it. The moment her fingers brushed its surface, a soft, clear tone rang through the air like the sound of a bell, gentle and pure. The tone lingered, then slowly faded, blending back into the valley's quiet song. Elara moved from stone to stone, each one singing a different note as she touched its soft, delicate sounds that floated through the air, weaving together in a gentle harmony. It was as if the stones themselves were part of the valley's music, each note a thread in the endless flowing song. As she continued, the valley seemed to come alive around her. The wind carried the melody through the grasses, the stones sang softly under her touch, and the hills echoed the tune, their shapes rising and falling like the notes of a lullaby. The air shimmered gently, filled with a sense of quiet wonder, and Elara felt herself becoming part of the song, her breath, her heartbeat, her very being woven into the fabric of the valley's melody. She lay down in the soft grass, letting the lantern rest beside her, and gazed up at the stars above. The melody continued, soft and steady, and as she listened, her eyelids grew heavy, her body sinking gently into the earth. The valley's song wrapped around her like a soft blanket, each note a gentle whisper, each echo a quiet promise. The orb in her chest glowed faintly, its light pulsing in time with the music. A soft, endless rhythm that lulled her deeper into rest. Elara closed her eyes, her breath slow and even, and let the melody carry her away into dreams, into quiet, into the endless, peaceful night. The stars above shimmered softly, and the valley sang on, a song of gentle echoes and quiet magic, waiting for all who wandered into its embrace. Elara's breath was slow, and even as she awoke, the soft echoes of the valley's song still lingering in her heart, like a fading lullaby. The air was crisp and cool, carrying the scent of dew-kissed grass and distant wildflowers. She rose slowly, feeling the warmth of the lantern's glow at her side, and the gentle pulse of the orb resting deep within her chest. Ahead, the path meandered onward, winding gently through a dense, ancient forest where the trees stood tall and proud, their trunks wide and strong. Their leaves rustled softly in the morning breeze, creating a quiet, steady rhythm, like the breath of the earth itself. As Elara walked forward, the trees seemed to lean in closer, their branches weaving together to form a green, glowing tunnel. The air shimmered faintly, and a soft, almost imperceptible sound filled the space, a quiet, endless whisper. Like 1,000 voices murmuring at the edge of hearing, curious and calm, Elara slowed her steps, listening closely. The whispers were gentle, a soft flowing language she couldn't quite understand, yet their tone carried a sense of peace. As if the trees were sharing stories, ancient tales passed from leaf to leaf, root to root, carried across generations. In the quiet sighs of the wind, the further she walked, the stronger the whispers became, wrapping around her like a soft blanket. She reached out her hand to gently touch the bark of a tree, and the moment her fingers made contact, a soft warmth spread through her skin. Seeping into her heart, visions bloomed in her mind, images of the grove through the seasons. The gentle sprouting of new leaves in the spring, the rich greens of summer, the golden glow of autumn, and the quiet rest of winter. She saw animals darting through the trees, small creatures nesting in the branches, and the slow, steady growth of roots deep beneath the earth. Elara closed her eyes, letting the whispers fill her. She could almost hear the stories now, soft and slow tales of storms and sunlight, of seeds carried by the wind, of flowers blooming and fading, of life gently unfolding in a quiet, endless cycle. A sense of deep connection settled over her, as if she, too, was part of the grove, her breath a leaf in the wind, her steps the soft movement of branches swaying in the breeze. She moved slowly through the grove, each step light and careful, her hands brushing against the trees, feeling the quiet pulse of their life. The lantern glowed gently beside her, its light blending with the soft shimmer of the grove, as if it belonged here, a part of this quiet, ancient world. In the heart of the grove, Elara found a small clearing, dappled with light that filtered through the high branches. The whispers grew softer here, a quiet, peaceful hum, like a lullaby sung by the forest itself. She sat in the soft moss, closed her eyes, and breathed deeply. The orb in her chest glowed softly, its light steady and warm. The lantern flickered beside her, its glow steady like the beating of a gentle heart. For a long time, Elara sat in the grove, letting the whispers soothe her, their gentle rhythm easing her thoughts, quieting her mind. The forest seemed to breathe with her, each inhale and exhale a soft, shared moment of peace. When she opened her eyes, the whispers had faded into a soft hush, a quiet promise that the grove would always be there, waiting for her whenever she needed its calm. The path beyond shimmered softly, waiting for her next steps. Elara rose slowly, a soft smile on her face, and continued on her journey, the lantern's light steady at her side. The whispers of the grove, a gentle song in her heart. The stars above shimmered faintly through the trees, and the night whispered softly, welcoming her onward. Elara stepped softly beyond the whispering grove, her heart full and light. The lantern's warm glow casting a gentle path ahead. The orb in her chest pulsed with a steady, golden warmth, as if the forest's quiet magic had become a part of her, woven gently into her breath, her thoughts, her dreams. The air was cool and fragrant, carrying the faint scent of wildflowers and moss, and the stars above shimmered like a quiet river of light. The forest seemed to stretch endlessly around her, the trees tall and proud, their branches reaching toward the sky like quiet prayers. As she walked, the path beneath her feet shimmered faintly, the stones glowing softly in the lantern's light. Each step felt light and easy, as if the earth itself were guiding her forward, supporting her every movement. The soft hush of the forest was like a lullaby, a gentle song that whispered in the stillness of the night. After a time, Elara came to a wide open meadow bathed in silver moonlight. The grass swayed gently, and small, delicate flowers bloomed in quiet clusters, their petals glowing faintly in the lantern's glow. Fireflies drifted lazily through the air, their soft lights blinking like distant stars. At the center of the meadow stood a tall, ancient triots, bark silver gray, its leaves a soft, shimmering gold. The branches stretched wide, and at its base lay a small, smooth stone, shaped like a heart, and pulsing gently with a quiet, golden light. Elara approached the tree slowly, her breath calm and steady. As she reached out to touch the stone, a soft warmth filled her fingers and spread gently through her chest. The orb in her heart pulsed in rhythm with the stone's light, as if they were connected by an invisible thread. A quiet voice seemed to whisper in her mind, not in words, but in a feeling, a sense of peace and belonging. It was as if the forest itself was speaking to her, reminding her that she was never truly alone. The journey she had taken, the places she had seen, the lantern keeper, the circle of light, the whispering grovel were part of a greater story, a quiet, endless cycle of growth, rest, and renewal. Elara sat beneath the ancient tree, the lantern resting beside her, and let the quiet of the night settle over her. The stars above shimmered softly, and the meadow hummed with a gentle, living energy. The soft breeze brushed her skin, carrying the scent of the flowers, and she felt a deep sense of calm, as if she had arrived exactly where she was meant to be. For a long time, she simply sat, listening to the quiet song of the earth, the gentle whispers of the breeze, the soft pulse of the orb within her. The world around her was still, peaceful, timeless. Eventually, Elara rose slowly, her breath steady and deep. The lantern's glow seemed to have merged with the light of the meadow, soft and golden. And the orb in her chest shone gently, a quiet reminder of all she had seen, all she had learned. As she walked forward, the path ahead shimmered faintly, stretching far into the distance, a quiet, endless road that invited her onward. She knew her journey was not truly over, it was simply part of a larger, ongoing story, one that would continue in new ways, in new places, with new dreams to follow. Elara smiled softly, the lantern in her hand glowing warm and steady. She walked forward, her steps light and peaceful, into the quiet, gentle night, knowing that wherever the path might lead, she would carry the whispers of the forest, the warmth of the light, and the quiet, endless magic of her journey within her heart. The stars above watched quietly, and the world around her whispered softly, a lullaby that would guide her into dreams.